Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing well. In today's video, I would like to do a reading on what do they feel for you. This particular spread does not have to be romantic strictly. It could be any kind of relationship. It'll just delve into your dynamic and what they feel for you and what they think of you and why. So go ahead and pick the deck that calls out to you, number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll get started. Okay, well, let's get started with deck number 1, the Robin Wood Tarot deck. Okay, so what is the energy between you two? The energy between you two. The Fool, the Ace of Swords, and the Eight of Cups. Okay, so the energy, I would say, in this dynamic seems a bit sporadic because seeing the Fool and then the Eight of Cups in the vicinity tells me there's a lack of commitment. It seems it's a connection where this person, whether they are a romantic interest or not, they are not anchored. They either like their freedom, they're non-committal. The communication with them is very matter of fact. Like, it doesn't really seem with the Ace of Swords that there's a whole lot of emotional connection. You know, think of it as they could come and, you know, communicate with you just randomly. Like, it's almost a little chaotic, if that makes sense. Like, they might come and say something sporadically and then they'll just be gone the next moment. You know, that's why the Eight of Cups kind of captures the feeling of being distant, and nothing really seems to suggest a whole lot of, you know, warm type of feelings. Like, just very non-committal is the way I would describe it. So this is somebody that I would say it's probably not a relationship, a romantic relationship, and they don't seem to communicate very often, just very consistently. It's just like they just come and go, and that seems to be the energy. Okay, and the next is what do they think of you? Let's see. What do they think of you? Okay, so I would say they definitely feel something romantic. I would say with the Lovers card. So, and then the Four of Wands tells me there is a romantic uh, thought or sentiment they have of you. So, so while it seems that, you know, initially the reading captures the energy of a very non-committal vibe, there's some, you know, emotional or intimate connection. There's a connection they do feel for you. Um, what they think is I would say it's probably a frustrating situation because I feel this person they want to connect. They want to connect, as these cards suggest, because that's it's supposed to outline what they think and, you know, what their angle is, but they're not doing so. Maybe they're not acting on the cues. Um, Maybe they're denying what they truly feel. It could be that kind of thing. Okay, and so looking into what they feel for you now, as opposed to think of you. What do they feel? Okay, what do they feel? Oh, wow. Wow, very romantic cards, I would say. So they definitely feel romantic towards you. I mean, you could see here clearly there's like a dialogue. Um, so taking all of this, you know, taking all of this in from the way it captures the situation and the dynamic, they clearly seem to have romantic feelings here. Um, and, you know, they do feel that connection. And then, you know, the moon also can point to like either fear, maybe the connection is so profound it maybe scares them. Maybe they have dreams about you. Um, I would say initially, because I saw the Fool and the Ace of Swords and the Eight of Cups, maybe they just are terrified of commitment. Maybe they want to get some adventures in their life before they, you know, act on what they feel. And the last is, why do they feel how they do? Why do they feel the way they do for you? Why do they feel the way they do? Okay, well, okay. So this says a lot. I would say that it's apparent that the Nine of Wands explains a lot about why they do what they do. There's clearly a man who's guarded. He's on a, you know, he's on alert. He's maybe been hurt. He just thinks maybe the right way of living is to be free, or, you know, free and, you know, not tethered to anything. And the reason he feels how he does, well, you make him happy. I'm going to assume that this is probably a guy because, I mean, it could be a woman, but it just seems like the energy is describing very male, male female interaction dynamic, like a male being interested and the asker is a female. But yeah, so it shows here that you make him either happy or you give him a good feeling. But the Nine of Cups can also point to a selfishness. He does what he does because he's selfish, and he feels how he feels because he feels the way he does because he wants to be free. And it's pretty clear that the emotions that he feels might be a little scary for him, but he's trying to navigate it, but he's holding up clearly a wall, as you see, and looking very, like very leery, like he doesn't quite trust, that he can get vulnerable. Okay, and the Three of Cups, it also points to why, like, so why does he feel the romantic feelings that he is shown to have, as it described. It's because he sees you as somebody who's very friendly, very sociable, very happy. Maybe you guys are friends and you guys see each other in a very joyful environment. Maybe there's a lot of camaraderie where you guys are at, where you guys see each other, and it feels very good when he sees you. He might see you interacting with other people, being friendly, and it gives him a good feeling. And one other thing is, another reason why he could feel the way he feels is if the Nine of Cups can also mean he sees you as happy. Sometimes people can be very attracted to, they could find someone who's happy as very attractive. So yeah, so that's what it seems to show here. Okay, so that is deck number 1, and I will now get started on deck number 2. Okay, deck number 2 is the Light Seers deck. Okay, so the energy between you. What is the energy between you? Okay, energy between Okay, so I would say, based on this, the energy really, I would say there's such a contrast between self-esteem or ego or attention versus feeling low. I would say to me, with the star card right in the middle, this says there's a dynamic of wishful thinking. Like one moment they make you feel high, and the next minute they make you feel terrible, as she seems to be appearing. And then there's this, energy like hopefully it gets better one day, or maybe things will work out. That kind of thing is what comes to comes to mind. The Six of Wands can also represent a drama. Maybe there's a dynamic where you both kind of feed off of each other, or the situation or the energy is really more about the attention that you grab by the audience. And then the star also kind of points to attention. You know, a lot of it can be like a drama. Um, you know, sometimes people can get sucked into that kind of dynamic, you know, and it can get unhealthy. Maybe that wasn't the intention in the beginning, but it can feel like your, you know, your relationship with this person has become some kind of drama for people to be a witness to. Um, okay, so next is what do they think of you? What do they think of you? What do they think of you? They think of you as somebody who's very methodical, intentional. I'm trying to think, what could this be? Loyal, I would say. Forthright, just. In some cases, justice can also mean somebody who's litigious. I mean, if, you know, if this is a very extreme drama, you know, maybe they think you're somebody that could take legal action, you know, like for example, especially with King of Pentacles being about money, maybe they are seeking legal action, or they might find you to be litigious, or, you know, and I see the Two of Pentacles as being kind of frivolous, but I would say with all the combination of all these cards, this seems to signify more like business-like almost. Yeah, so it doesn't really seem like they view you as like an emotional person, since justice is right there. And it's embedded in Two Pentacles. Pentacles are also very stable. One thing is with the Two of Pentacles, it could mean, you know, they see you as someone who changes their mind often, but maybe they feel secure in their connection with you. Like, I'll give an example. You know, maybe they feel you're hot and cold, but they know you're always going to be there. You know, like that is never going to change. You know, the temper, maybe there's like a temper flare up that can happen on certain issues, but in their mind they're saying, well, they're, you know, they're never gonna walk away, you know. The last thing, this is the last interpretation I can offer, is maybe they see you as married to a man with money, and you could just play around. That's a possibility with the Two of Pentacles there. And yeah, so that's all I can really see from that. Okay, and what do they feel for you? What do they feel for you? Okay, so what do they feel for you? So I'm getting, they seem like they feel this kind of superficial connection towards you. Like the emotions they have has more to do with either enjoyment and more about what others might think of them rather than any any profound sort of feelings there. Um, One thing that I just felt is that when, as I see the eight of cups figure walking away, this says to me that maybe they've been waiting for something from you. Maybe they've been wanting for you to demonstrate something to them. Maybe they feel, things are only superficial in the dynamic. Not to say their feelings are superficial, but they feel the energy is like the situation is superficial. Like they can't break and get past the next stage. And, as I was saying earlier, it did seem to suggest they view you as somebody who, maybe are married, or maybe you have something very serious going on in your life. So they're feeling that maybe the only thing they can do is just walk away if it's not going to grow. So I would say their feelings for you, it shows that the desire is there, and they enjoy the time they get to spend with you. It seems like they have a blast when they see you, or they get a real thrill out of the connection. But if it doesn't experience any growth, or get to anything more profound, then they might have to walk away. So yeah, and the Queen of Swords could be they are using their head knowledge. They're using their mind in order to decide what they can do or what they should do. Okay, and then the last is, why do they feel how they feel? What is causing it? Why do they feel how they feel? Okay. Wow. Oh, there's a lot of fire. There's a lot of passion. So this is, yeah, it's clearly a very passionate feeling. This is like, what can I say? I mean, this is the fire. This is the connection. This is also love. Wow. I feel like the cards are just saying they just feel the way they feel because they do. It basically checks all the boxes for passion. But, like I was saying here, like they might be using their head. Maybe they're thinking, if she doesn't act on how she feels, I might have to leave. I'm just assuming if you're a man, then just switch the genders. Maybe it's a woman feeling this way for you if you're a man. But yeah, so this is our reading number 2, and let's get started with deck number 3. Okay, deck number 3 is the Spellcaster's Tarot. What is the energy between you? What is the energy between you? My first feeling is something about it feels almost transactional. Maybe this is somebody who does work for you. I can't quite tell based on this combination if this is a husband who provides or this is a marriage, I should just say, where you provide, or they are someone who comes and does some work, or they travel. But it feels like they have a consistency, like they come and they are present, and they're reliable in a financial way or in a business way. I feel that whoever this person is, maybe they have a lot of admirers, and you might have a connection with them, and like your friends and people you speak with might ask like what happened, like they might want like consistent updates, like how's it going. And then another possibility is there's people that oppose the connection, and you have to always like fight to keep it, that kind of thing. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting. And the next is, what do they think of you? What do they think of you? I would say something very defeated, like a defeatist mindset, or maybe you're in a very bad spot. Maybe you experience a lot of opposition and you're very tired and you're trapped in your life or your situation. I I don't I don't mean it to be rude, but maybe they think you're negative. Maybe the negativity can be something like caring too much about things that are not important, or maybe caring about what other people think. Um, I would say there's just the two, they both depict, being trapped. Like they feel, you feel stuck. They think you feel stuck. It could also be the opposite. Maybe they feel trapped by you, but I don't, I don't think that's what it is, though. Yeah, so it definitely seems like they feel that they think it's a you're in a tough situation or the circumstances are tough. And then with the Eight of Cups, I feel they see it as you're thinking to leave, maybe, um, but then you're not. Maybe they've heard some contradictory things. That you want to leave something or you want to change something. Maybe they feel you want to change where you live, but you're trapped. It could be that. Okay. Next is, how do they feel for you? Like, what are their feelings for you? What are their feelings? What are their feelings for you? I would say there's some tension. For me, my initial thought, like when I saw both the Emperor and the Strength card, there's a power dynamic. They might like to control you, which kind of makes then some sense if I saw the Devil and the Eight of Swords earlier, because if they think of you as in the context of being trapped, and maybe they're the ones that are trying to control you or exert control. And the Two of Swords is like it's about denial. Maybe they're not aware, or they're denying what's going on. Maybe they're denying how they feel, and they are exhibiting control instead of actions that show that they care. Okay, and then lastly, why do they feel how they do? This can also be like, why do they do what they do? So we'll look into that. Why do they feel? Okay, so I'm getting they've been hurt. They've had a very devastating blow. The Ten of Swords is like devastation. They've been betrayed. So maybe they don't want to get hurt, and the control thing I was explaining earlier, that is, this explains it. Maybe they experienced like a horrible relationship and they've literally been stabbed in the back. And they have their feelings. The Page of Cups is about having vulnerable feelings, being emotional, tender. I mean, this suggests they have feelings for you. So maybe they don't know how to demonstrate it properly. Maybe something very bad, something very ugly, very devastating in their past made them think the only way to approach a relationship is by exercising power. And then the Star is, it's that wishful thinking. They believe there is a connection. They think it's a cosmic one. They think that you might be their soulmate, but they've been hurt, and that they feel that's acting how they do is like the only way. Is like the only way to succeed. It's the only way to live in accordance to a love relationship. I would say that maybe they should look into some healing, maybe, because if they are doing what they're doing because they have feelings, but then they've only learned betrayal, then they need to do some kind of healing and deconstructing. So okay, so that is deck number 3, and I will now get started on deck number 4. Okay, deck number 4 is Tarot of the Old Path. Okay, the energy between you. Okay, what is the energy between you? Okay, looks very stable, looks very professional. Looks like maybe you have a husband that works with you, and maybe they provide, and it's a very stable connection. It could be lacking passion, but it works. There could be somebody you work with, but there could also be that he's somebody who you're working with, and they're your spouse too. So that's what it looks like. Looks pretty stable and healthy. Okay, and if you're a man, I would say, then if this is about a woman, then it means, maybe you're asking about your wife, or you work with this woman, so the same concept applies. Okay, so what do they think of you? Let's see. What do they think of you? What do they think of you? They think you're a very strong person. If you are asking about a man, he thinks you're a strong woman. If you're a man, this woman might think she has to uphold certain boundaries or make her air her grievances if she's, if she has any. Like when I look at this dynamic here, it really seems like we're past the acquaintance stage. It really looks like it's an actual relationship where, you're at a point of like feeling the heaviness of a commitment, for example, and maybe your partner has been disappointing you for a long time. And I would say, as far as what they think of you, they think that you're honest, but you also might, insist on having your way a lot. But with the Strength card, it can also point to being understanding in some ways. I know it's weird because it shows a lion, but the Strength card is associated with the sign of Leo. So that can, and the Leo is ruled by the heart. So it can also be about tolerance and, having a strong heart, like trying to get through the hard times, But of course, this Queen of Swords represents like the boundaries that have to be upheld or airing your grievances. So the feeling can also be, they feel disappointed. Like what they think of you, what they think of you is that you've been demonstrating that you're maybe not happy with something, and that you've demonstrated that you're sad, like you're mourning something. So yeah. Now the next is why, what do they feel for you? What do they feel for you? So this shows very sensitive feelings. They want, they really are invested in this connection. They really want to make it work. But one thing about the world is it can also mean that something might be running its course, because the world is the last major arcana card, before the cycle begins with the Fool. And I feel this is saying, like in their internal dialogue, they're thinking, as much as I feel for this person, where I felt so deeply for so long, we've like reached the end. And maybe there's nothing left to do but like end it or something. But there's an alternative meaning here where it can also mean that they want to work. The world can also mean they want to find the solution because it's about accomplishment too. So I don't know which one it is because everybody's situation is different, but it can mean that they want a solution because they feel so strongly, but they're frustrated because it's always being met with like misunderstandings and fights and things like that. And so that's the other meaning. Okay, and then last is why do they feel how they do? Okay, why do they feel the way they do? So it clearly shows harmony. There's something about you that makes them feel serene or calm. It's like showing with both the guide, which is the Temperance card, and then the Four of Swords is also about peace and serenity. They feel how they feel because maybe you complete them. But their ego, because the Six of Wands tells me is something about their ego. They might really want to feel admired or in control. Maybe they like being the breadwinner, or maybe they like being the provider. Because earlier in the reading it showed in your connection they provide something, the Emperor, the King of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles. All of it just kind of points to a practical business type of thing, type of relationship. And I think partly why they feel how they feel is what they're seeking is some kind of, validation. Like they want to feel good about themselves, and you provide them that. Maybe as the woman, if you're the woman who is being provided for, you've demonstrated that you're willing to accept, just accept what comes. Like you're secure in your house. I mean, you see the image. She's like literally in a house in a quarter, and she's safe, and there's peace, and there's chemistry there. So I feel like he wants to be like the winner, and provide for her. Just kind of gives that impression, like you just accept what he provides. But I'm not sure exactly why. Earlier it showed he thinks you might be, like what he thinks of you is that you're, grieving, or maybe you're unhappy with something. It could also mean that, you know, the reason he feels the way he feels is he wants to achieve results, and he wants to make you feel peaceful. You know, like he wants to make you feel like he doesn't have to like the way you're unhappy, but his goal, like the reason, his drive is to achieve the result and attain this, you know? So yeah. So that is deck number 4. I hope this made sense, and if it didn't, I'm sorry. But yes, I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.